I'm Sukh Chamdal, I'm the CEO, and I've got Pardip with me, who's my CFO. You want to put a disclaimer up, Pardip? And then we go into the page 4. It's just a quick overbrief of what we were and where we started. We've opened the first shop in 2008, and now I'm proud to say that we operate out of 3 facilities in the country, totaling 50,000 square feet. We have 139 franchise stores as of 30th of September, and we specialize in making fresh cream cakes or on demand or with personalization. If we go to the next slide, you can see a selection of the cakes that we sell. So our best selling is the fruit gâteau. We've got the grab and go for the cake slices. We've got complimentary cakes like cheesecakes, and we've got the platter cakes for large gatherings. We've got some delicious, luscious cupcakes as well. And for with your cup of tea, we have our loaf cakes. And if you go into the next one, our franchisees has a very good proposition. They've got potential to open multiple sites. 36 of our franchisee operates multiple sites. We don't charge a management service fee or a marketing levy. All those are built into our sponge margin in the products we supply to the franchisee. They enjoy very good sociable hours, and on average they get a 20 months payback. We do everything for them. We train them, we negotiate the lease for them, and we help them with their financing as well. They get access to our CakeBox brand and know-how, and on average the earnings is 87k per annum. They've got very easy ordering. They just order on the B2B and everything's delivered to them. Next slide, sir. A quick overview of how the franchise operation starts. Right from the beginning, they do the online application, and once they're approved, we will, and they've got their shop, we will do a store build, and while the store's building, we will train them in all aspects of the business, from writing business plans to making cakes. And from that time, within 6 weeks, they're open. I'll go on to the next one with the financial highlights. Revenue was down 2% because of the forced closures earlier in the year, but gross profit was up 5.3%. EBITDA was up slightly as well. Our earnings per share have gone up by 6%. Net cash has gone up by 2.3 million, and we were able to pay the interim dividend up 15% to 1.85. We also paid back all the furlough monies that we used when we were closed in March, as we did not require them, and we've taken no government help since, and we reinstated our summer dividend as well. I'd like to give you operational highlights, and our store opening and sales were unsurprisingly impacted by the lockdown in March to May, but we still managed to open 6 new franchise stores over the period, making a total of 139 by the end of September. Moreover, we've had begun the second half strongly, with 5 new stores opening already despite the lockdown, and a strong pipeline that we come to talk about later on. Since the period end, we have also launched our own CakeBox delivery service. This complements our delivery platforms, Uber Eats, Just Eat, and Deliveroo, which were launched earlier this year. This has been very well received, particularly by those outside of the delivery platform's catchment areas. That means no distance is too far for CakeBox to provide its customers with tasty products. And we constantly R&D products. We've just launched a gluten/vegan, and we're on the way to launching a vegan cream cake as well. If we go to the next slide, and we give you the franchisee operational highlights. Like other metrics, a franchise total turnover was impacted in the period by the store closures in the spring lockdown. However, we saw a strong recovery when we started to reopen the store estate, with like-for-like sales up over 12%, underlying the continued growth in demand for our products and the agility of our model. We saw online sales grow by more than 50%, driven by the initiatives we took in the first half to sign up with those delivery partners to complement our popular click and collect offer. Importantly, we have also maintained and even strengthened our pipeline for new store openings, underpinned by a record number of new franchise deposits. I will hand over to Pardip for the financial review. Oh, I missed a slide. Sorry. Just go back. We got a rapidly growing portfolio of franchise stores. As you can see on the map, there are many areas of the UK that remain starved of local cake box shops, and many high streets in need of our colourful shop fronts and interiors and our wonderful cake displays. In particular, we see opportunities up in Scotland, where we've only got one. In Wales, we've got two. We've got spaces in South West, North East and South East. We're well underrepresented in South London as well. Alongside our 139 stores at the period end, we also had 14 kiosks. These are a mobile format of our shops that open up further new potential locations for cake box products to be sold, including shopping centres, service stations, large petrol stations, train stations, etc. Now I'll hand over to Pardip for the financial review.
Thank you, Sukh. So yeah, I'll go through the income statement, balance sheet and cash flow. So the first one, the income statement. As Sukh mentioned, our revenue was down 2%, and only 2%, despite the fact that we had a closure period of 6 weeks in the first lockdown period. Gross margin has gone up 300 basis points, and that's as a result of fewer shops, but selling more supply. So on the shops, we'll make typically 20% gross profit on opening a new shop, and on sponge sales, we'd make about 70%. So it's more weighted this time around to sponge sales, but we expect it to come back down in the second half. Administrative costs have gone up because payroll costs have gone up because of the planned expansion that we have. And all in all, profits after tax dipped slightly as a result of the lost revenues that we had because of the closure period due to COVID. On the next one, on the balance sheet, our fixed asset value has increased. That's because auditors like us to revalue our property once every 3 years. And as all of our property is freehold basis, we had a revaluation that full year, which increased the value of our freehold Enfield site by £1.5 million. That, coupled with the fact that they didn't pay a dividend during the summer for the full year results, which ended in March, meant that our balance sheet value went up by 35% to just under £10 million worth of net assets. If we move on to the cash flow, you'll see, so in the cash flow, in the 20 weeks that we did trade, our cash flow from operating activity was nearly as good as the previous period. And as a result of strong trading following the lockdown period, we decided, as Sukh mentioned, to return the furlough monies and not take the government help that we had. Net cash increased by £2.3 million. Roughly half of this was because we didn't pay the full year dividend, but I'm pleased to say that we did reward the shareholders in the end, and we paid a special dividend, which was equal to the unpaid final dividend, and we did that just after the half year in October. If we move on, I'm just going to explain the rollout program. We're holding a record number of deposits for areas and territories that have been secured by our franchisees. Now, these deposits highlight that our brand and proposition remains highly attractive to both new franchisees and existing franchisees who are looking for their second, third, and in some cases, their 9th shop. And with this in mind, we are very confident that we are going to hit our store number target for the foreseeable future. On this slide, that you also see our distribution centres. We have 3, and they're geographically dotted in England so that we can serve all of our sites. And our target is to try and serve 90% of our sites within 90 minutes. And that will also reduce our road miles. On the next page, we've got about home delivery. It's more really about online, and it shows that our online presence has grown rapidly during the COVID period. We partnered with third-party delivery platforms, and this gave us access to a new customer base, whilst at the same time we launched online delivery from our website, and that served our existing customers who want to get a cake delivered to their home or office. Online orders now represent 25% of our total business, and before the COVID lockdown, this only was 15%. And what's been the benefit? The benefit for us is that this is incremental revenues in some cases, and that's helped to drive our like-for-like sales across our estate. I'll hand you over to Sukh, who will just go through the current trading.
We've touched on our strong current trading already, but I want to finish by running through a few key takeaways on that and the outlook. But most importantly, all our stores remained open, with only the few shopping centre kiosks closed due to the second lockdown, and we have maintained positive sales growth in the second half. This has been supported by a continuous acceleration in our online sales, up circa 56.5% year on year in the 6 weeks since the period end versus last year, boosted by the launch of the CBOX home delivery service to complement our existing partner offer, and opening 5 new stores with encouraging initial trading epitomised by a new stain shop which set a first week sales record. Looking ahead, we have a strong pipeline of new franchises and franchise stores, and are therefore confident of meeting full year opening targets of new stores and delivery of our growth strategy. Thank you very much for listening, and any questions we're ready to take.
We had a few questions sent in before the webinar today, so I'll just get to those ones first. I've got them here in front of me. The first was about the maintenance of standards. How are you ensuring that franchisees enforce standards required to protect the brand?
The best managers are owner-occupiers. The franchisee has invested a lot of money in this franchise, and the more sales they get, the more money they put in their pocket. And so you find the owner-occupier is going to be the best policeman. They ensure that the standards are there, because if the standards are not there, they will lose out on sales. We also have 4 regional business development managers who audit very regularly and help the business or develop so to their full potential.
Okay, and the next question I had is, given the penetration of CBOX outlets across the country, I think as you saw on the map, there are some areas where there's many more shops than others. How can you develop further without cannibalizing existing franchisees?
The UK is very big, and we hardly penetrate much of it. Scotland is completely empty, or Wales is empty, and you can see southwest, or south, the northeast, the southeast as well. There's plenty of towns that we're not in yet, and we are very ethical. We're not like other franchisees who will open at every street corner. We make sure that the franchisee get enough income with their own territory. We don't fix a territory, but we're very sensible. If someone feels that they can open within a third of a mile or so, we will always offer it to the existing franchisee, so it's all in one pot.
And what is the cost for a franchisee to open a store? And what revenue do you generate from this, and your royalty fee per sale per shop?
It's 145,000 plus VAT. The payback is roughly about 20 months. We don't charge a royalty fee. All the royalty fee charges are built into our sponge margins. We supply all the sponge to the franchisee. We supply all the cream, the toppings, the chocolates, all the stock. They only buy their fresh fruit from outside. So we get our fees up front because they pay for the stock.
And do the franchisees bake in store, or do you have centralized manufacturing facilities?
Our 3 depots are bakeries. So we bake the sponge and then we ship it out to the franchisee, who cut it to shape and size and assemble the cake. And
do you find your franchisees come from a food and beverage background, or are they completely new to running a shop like this, or is there a typical background?
We have got engineers, pharmacists, accountants. We've got labourers, we've got engineers. We've got a wide variety of background. You don't need any experience. We mould you into or the way we want you.
A question we used to get a lot of questions about Brexit, and then obviously a lot of questions about COVID. One about Brexit again, and the impact of Brexit on ingredients pricing, and how are you going to be impacted?
We source hardly anything from outside UK, apart from Belgian chocolates, and we do a couple of other items, but they're well insulated because we can get them here. And even or if some ingredients do come from abroad, the tariffs are not going to be huge. And taking our profit margin into consideration, we can quite easily absorb those.
I mean, I think, and personally, I'm relatively familiar. I live not very far away from one of your outlets, but I think some of our audience at home are less so. Within the shops, we asked here, do you sell coffees or anything else? Or is it just those cakes that you showed on that earlier slide?
At the moment, we only sell cakes. Our core product is that celebration. We concentrate on that celebrating that special occasion with a nice fresh cream cake. And so that's what we're known to our audience, to our customers, as a cake shop. We don't confuse the issue by having our coffee and sandwiches and soft drinks.
Okay, I've had a couple of people here. It's going to be quite a challenging question. A couple of people have asked about direct to sales in the last couple of months, and could you comment on that?
Absolutely. Or the pressure was so immense by investors to release more equity, and so they persuaded me after 2 years to release more, which I reluctantly done, and it gave more fluidity to liquidity to the shares and the share price.
So what do you still own yourself?
We still own 40%, so we still major shareholders in there, and or we are incentivized to keep this business going.
And have you had any conversations or is there any interest in having conversations with distribution through supermarkets or other retail chains?
We are concentrating on our own shops at the moment, building up our store portfolio. We should hit 150 stores by early next year, and we're aiming to open 15 to 20 shops a year. So that conversation would probably come in a couple of years' time, as and when we require them.